Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The vast opportunity. We used to be an exploration company, and in 2015 we made the decision that we're going to become a production company. And so we got rid of all the exploration, sold the fancy head office in Zimbabwe, sold the aeroplane, and marshaled our resources to get some of our discoveries into production. And since 2015, we've been able to, in 2016, get our first revenue of some £7 million. And then in last year, we've increased our turnover through 2 producing mines to some $23–24 million. So we've made the transition from being a junior explorer into becoming a junior mining company. We've got a third mine coming on stream fairly shortly, and I'll go into those details in a minute. Vast is in 2 very different jurisdictions, Romania and Zimbabwe. And I didn't choose these jurisdictions. They were already there when I joined the company, so I don't take any blame for having such a diverse area of interest. The main commonality is they're in the same time zone, and that's about it. Very, very different areas to operate in. But they present us with enormous opportunities. They're not countries that many mining entities are looking to be in. And so we tend to find the competition is very, very slack, and that's a nice area to be in. The normal company profile and structures, you've got a printout, you can read it for yourself. What is our strategy? At the moment, our strategy is to focus on developing our copper and zinc assets in Romania. And right now, at our Maniila mine, we're focusing on producing a quality copper concentrate. The magic percentage for the copper concentrate is 18%. We've now achieved the 18% grade in the concentrate, and we're now pushing the tonnage from 400 tons a month to 600 tons a month and maintaining that 18% concentrate. On the zinc, the magic percentage for zinc concentrate is 45%, and that's what our focus is. And we want to go from 80 tons a month to about 150 tons a month of zinc. What we've also discovered is that whilst there's a lot of gold and silver that reports to our copper and zinc concentrate, there's also quite a bit of gold that ends up on the tailings dam because it doesn't float in the sulfide process, and therefore we're losing it to the tailings dam. And we've now installed a Nelson concentrator to recover, and the test work looked great. The operation hasn't been as good as we had hoped, and so we brought a South African consultant in where gravity recovery of gold is well known, and they are now tuning the gravity circuit, and we're looking forward to a third revenue stream for Maniila in the short term. Maniila is our first operating mine. We own it 100%, and we've just announced the selection for a license for our second polymetallic mine in Romania, Buy It Apply. And some of the shareholders that are in the audience tonight have been incredibly patient, but also frustrated as we have been in management, because this license has taken an inordinate amount of time to come through. And the time taken is because we were trying to get this license out of a company that was in administration in Romania. And unlike in the United Kingdom, if a company is in administration, you put your money in, you cover the creditors, you cover the next year's working capital, and the company comes out of administration. In Romania, it's the other way around. When you go into administration, the next stage is you go into liquidation. The concept of going backwards doesn't exist. They just don't understand that once you put a company into administration, you can actually take it out of administration and get it going again. Having discovered that quirk, we were then advised the best way to do it is to form a brand new company that's clean, merge the administrative or the company under administration with your brand new clean company, put them together, and then apply for the license. So we thought, well, great, we did that. And then we discovered, well, whilst the Romanian law permitted this, it had never been done before. So now we had to go through groundbreaking process with the Romanian authorities to actually bring this company out of administration. It's all been agreed, and now we've got to go through the process of ticking various boxes, getting certain signatures and stamps, and then the license will be issued. So we're expecting that license in the very near future, and we will then commence reopening our second mine in Romania. It's fully equipped, it's got all the kit there. We've got to spit and polish it, put a bit of paint on, and get it operational again. But the basic infrastructure is there, and we're looking forward to getting stuck into that mine. Paita is 3 times the grade of Maniila, so it's a very, very attractive proposition for us. In Zimbabwe, our Pitchford Peerless mine, we've been operating the oxide phase of it for 2 years now, doing 20,000 tons a month at about 2 grams per ton, and it's produced fantastic profits for us. It's been a really good operation, and now we're starting to get into the sulfides. So we've built a sulfide processing facility that's been tagged into the oxide one. It's just about complete. We should be commissioning it in the fairly near future, and we will go from 20,000 tons to 35,000 tons a month, and we'll go from 2 grams to nearly 4 grams per ton process. So there's going to be a significant uplift in that production, the gold production in the Pitchford mine, and that should all be in place by year end. So we're looking forward to that as well. I'll also go into the licenses that we've been granted around our Maniila mine and in the greater Transylvania mountains area of Romania. Where we've applied for licenses in the ordinary course of business, they've come through within a few weeks. So licensing in Romania is not an issue unless you're trying to bring a company out of administration. Normal licenses have come through very, very quickly. And further expansion in Zimbabwe is the giant gold mine, which is not far from Pitchford, where we've now started work on evaluating that mine. In its day, the giant mine was a larger mine than Pitchford, and so my geologists are waving their arms around and telling me that we're going to have a bigger resource at Giant than we've got at Pitchford, and I'm saying great. Your future bonuses are going to depend on you delivering that, guys, because it's very easy to make the promises. We need to see it delivered, but it's a very prospective mine based on what it was in the past. Romania. Our operations at the moment, the buy-to-ply mine, which I said we'll be starting shortly. We've got the Maniila mine up in the mountains, and we have the Yokaben metallurgical complex some 30 kilometers away. We mine the material up in the mountains, we truck it all the way to Yokaben, we process it, we extract our concentrates, and then we take the tailings all the way back to the Maniila mine. Nuts, but that's what we've got to do, that's what we inherited, and that's what we're operating at the time, for the time being. Recent licenses that will extend Maniila is Kali Baba, which I will deal with in more detail, but that's going to give us the opportunity to increase our mine life at Maniila quite substantially. And then recent license awards are these here, and I'm not going to try and pronounce them. I haven't had enough time to rehearse the pronunciation in Romanian, but these are very large potential areas. Now, Romania has an amazing mining infrastructure, and when Romania came out of the Soviet bloc, they were forced to close down their mines. We've come along and we've said to the Romanian government, you've got amazing resources here. Why don't you allow us to open up the mines? And the Romanian state said, no, you can't do that, because the union, having paid for the rehabilitation, will never pay for the rehabilitation a second time. The news that we had to deliver to the Romanian state was, in the West, the responsibility for rehabilitation is with the mine operator, not with the state. Our performance in Romania to date, the important numbers for me, I'm not a technical person, I'm an accountant masquerading as a miner. The things that I want to know: how many tons have you milled, at what grade, what have you recovered, and how many tons of concentrate have you sold? And you can see we've had a bit of a checkered career so far at Maniila, but where we're going now, last quarter we milled 28,000 tons, and we now progressively getting closer and closer, doing 15,000 tons a month. So you can see that we're now expecting quite a significant uptick in the tonnage that we mill on a quarterly basis. That's great. More tons milled is a great achievement. The real essence for me is the percentage or the grade of the copper and zinc that's coming in. And our target is about 0.9% copper and 0.9% zinc, and we're not quite there yet. And we are involved with mine redevelopment and replanning in order that we can push our feed grade to the mill to closer to 1% copper and 1% zinc, and that will make a huge difference to our operations. Now, Maniila is our current operation, and that little blue area is where we are currently mining. That's our mining license that we have currently permission to mine in, and we've got about 2 to 3 years mine life left in that little blue area. We applied for an extension, and the extension is the greater area. I hope you can see it there. The light blue line is the area that's been granted to us. We've increased our footprint 20-fold at Maniila, and that's part of the Kali Baba area that I referred to earlier. We're going to be able to extend the mine life at Maniila 15, 20 years. And so we're going to have a long-term mining operation up in the mountain, and as soon as we've got those results bedded down as far as a feasibility study is concerned, we will then build a new metallurgical complex at the mine, save trucking the dirt 30 kilometers to the current metallurgical complex and trucking the waste back another 30 odd kilometers. 30% of our operating cost is tramming. With that saving, it's going to change the financial dynamics of the company quite extensively. I've already referred to the extension of our license area. In those areas that have just been granted to us, what we think is that we've just started the drilling there, we are hoping that we will convert about 10% of what was previously stated to be there to a JORC compliant resource. And we think that we can get to about 300 million tons in that greater area. Now, at that level, this area will be one of the largest copper deposits in Europe. A lot of work still to be done. There are good indications from the people that were there before us, and having got these licenses, we've now started the process to go and verify what was put in or what was declared before us. And as with all companies, fingers crossed that we're going to be able to twin a lot of the holes, verify that what was reported previously is the same as what we're finding, and then all the data that's available in that area will be usable by us for our feasibility study. So an exciting opportunity there. The Maita Ply mine I've referred to already. Fully equipped, you can see one of the float lines there. There are 2 access shafts and 2 sub-vertical shafts. I don't know how many 100 kilometers of development exist underground. The deposit is made up of 8 skarns, 8 pipes that were mineralized when the liquids came up from depth. And the first one, Antonia 1, has been mined since 1947, and that part of the mine, we've still got 350 meters to go before we hit the hard granite. Probably another 10 years mining there, and that's on the first skarn. There are 7 parallel skarns that we have to have a look at. The interesting thing that we found is that when we drill a hole and we intersect mineralization, we have fancy computer programs that extrapolate around and we define a resource based on our drilling. What we have found with the Romanians, having identified that there's a resource there, they then check it by actually sinking a shaft and going into the area to sample it from underground. And for example, at Maniila, it's an open cast mine, but we know we are following underground exploration adits that have gone ahead of us where we're mining, and they've sampled from underground what they were going to mine open cast along the strike and extensions to the side. And what we've discovered in Romania is that these other skarns that are prospective have actually been accessed by underground workings that we can go in and actually physically see the ore body, taste it if you want. We don't have the full extent of what is there and the grades and what have you, but there is physical access into these exploration areas. So with what we've got 1.8 million tons. What can we get there? The mine life there could be anything you would like to make it. It's just a huge, huge deposit. And what we are finding in Romania, in the Transylvania mountain, it is so richly mineralized. It's hard to grasp. It's a huge, huge opportunity. We've been talking about the Vaniita tailings deposit. It's the old tailings dam from the Baita mine. It's been there since in the 1940s and 1950s. The previous mining was very poorly done. The processing was poorly done, and a lot of the material was dumped on the tailings. Now that we anticipate the underground license coming through fairly soon, we certainly don't want to displace underground ore at 6% copper equivalent with tailing material. So we're finishing the test work, we'll complete it, but the likelihood of us actually processing the tailings at this point in preference to underground ore, it's unlikely. So we've made a lot of song and dance about the tailings, but I think we're going to find that going forward the focus has to be on the underground fresh ore that we will be accessing. It's easier for me to speak about Zimbabwe because I guess you can tell from my accent that I come from that part of the world. Pitchford peerless, we've got just over 3 million ounces of JORC compliant resource, open at depth, open along strike. The mine has exceeded its expectations in terms of the tons milled, of the grade and the gold production. And now we're going into the sulfide. We anticipate it's going to be even better. There's an established mining infrastructure, a lot like Romania. There are a number of mines and a lot of infrastructure in Zimbabwe that through economic considerations are standing idle at the moment. There's a really good skilled workforce, and we have absolutely no problems in being able to staff up our operations in Zimbabwe with high quality and skilled people. And a bit like Romania, not an awful lot of companies that are rummaging around Zimbabwe looking for opportunities at the moment. But because of the economic constraints, there are opportunities to acquire assets in Zimbabwe at really good prices. And so as with Romania, where we can acquire these assets at a very good price, the same thing is happening in Zimbabwe. And so besides these two mines, we are looking at opportunities that are going to present themselves for other mining assets in Zimbabwe. There's some information there on the Pitchford Peerless gold mine. our resource reserves. We've got 7-year oxide mine life. We've done just on 3 years of that, but we're exposing of the sulfide area, which has got a 20-year mine life. So we're now moving into a phase where we'll be mining both oxide and sulfides, and we have the plant installed. And as I said earlier, we've got this increase in tonnage and grade expected at Pitchford. Giant, it's a fantastic opportunity, we think. One of the best exploration techniques or exploration methods that you have in Zimbabwe is to follow the artisanal miners. These are the chaps that dig it out by hand, crush it by hand, recover the gold. It's unbelievable hard work, and they only go where the gold is. And at Pitchford, we took an area where my geologist said there's not much gold there, Pitchford, so we moved the artisanal miners and we gave them the rights to mine there. And we have been stunned with the amount of gold that these artisanal miners have come out with. And I'm now challenging the geologists and saying, but you said there wasn't much gold there. Look what these guys are producing. And what we've got at Giant is a huge body of artisanal miners that have actually defined the ore body for us. And when we've overlain on the map where the artisanals are working, they are working in exactly the area that my geologist said, this is where we must drill and this is where we're going to find the resource. So we've now come to terms with the artisanals and the government to move them into an area. And like Pitchford, we've set up an artisanal processing facility alongside our operation. So we process the artisanal miners' gold for them. We give them their gold. They pay a minimal amount to us, but at least we can guide them into safe mining methods, safe processing methods, and then we take their gold for them to market to the Reserve Bank. The other thing that we're doing is that the residual gold that is in the pulp, which other toll processors keep for themselves, we're processing that through our facility and we're monitoring it, and we're giving 50% of that gold back to the artisanals, but in a different method. We don't give it to the miners, because how do you identify which miner this gold belongs to? We're giving it to the community, and the community is now using that for schools, hospitals, clinics, etc. It's a really good model, and the government has responded favourably towards it. And at Giant, we're going to do the same thing, so that's why the artisanals are happy to move. I wouldn't say happy, are prepared to move, because they do see the additional benefit. Aside from these two mines, we're looking at other opportunities. You just got to look at the mining story in Zimbabwe and see how many defunct, dormant, care and maintenance mines there are. Huge opportunities in Zimbabwe. I've got production figures there for Pitchford. You can look at them yourself. Again, the area that I'm interested in is how many tons are you milling. We should be milling 20,000 tons a month. We dropped a bit because we had abnormal rain and flooding and what have you. It was difficult to operate. We're back to in excess of 20,000 tons milling a month. But because the sulfide process is coming in, we're starting to see days where we are milling over 1,000 tons a day, i.e. we're already moving towards 30,000, and I believe our 35,000 tons a month target is going to be achieved. Again, grade is king, there's no substitute. We've had a little bit of a downturn in terms of the grade, and we've mined through those areas. We're now seeing the grade on a daily basis moving up quite consistently, and so the direction is in the right direction. We've recently spoken about an approach by a Romanian investor to become a strategic investor in our Romanian operations. We've got a strategic investor in Zimbabwe, and we're looking to get a strategic investor in Romania, and the proposal is around $10 million, and we currently in discussions with them to find a way forward whereby the strategic investor in Zimbabwe and the strategic investor in Romania and VAST, we can work together, complement one another's efforts, and so that's an exciting process we're going through at the moment. We did announce the outline terms of this strategic investment, and we've recently announced to the market a change in how that investment is going to take place. And it's now going to be at project level, and the ability to flick from the project into the parent company at a fixed price and for a certain percentage of the company has fallen away. And a lot of our shareholders have responded positively because they don't see the dilution and they think it's better to do the investment at project level rather than at the top company. So that's the direction we're heading into. Just to summarize, I referred to earlier, lack of investment in Romania and Zimbabwe has created opportunities for us. We're taking advantage of that. We can, as a result of the lack of competition in Zimbabwe and Romania, we can accumulate a nice portfolio of assets at a reasonable price. The recovery of the commodity prices, which we're seeing now, is going to benefit what we are doing. But the most important thing for me in terms of value improvement is the resolution of the political and economic situation in Zimbabwe. I think we've got a 90% discount applied to the value of assets in Zimbabwe. And when the change happens, and we believe as a Zimbabwean, I believe the change is not too far off, that discount is going to reduce quite significantly. Eventually it'll become a premium, but in the short term the discount will reduce, and the value of your assets is going to have an uplift just because of the change. And if you are in production as we are, that's going to give you a further uplift. So two challenging jurisdictions, but fantastic opportunities, and so far so good. Thank you very much.